Here's something that nobody wants to admit. The reason you're losing isn't because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's not even because you don't have the right opportunities. It's because you care too much. And before you click off, hear me out, because what I'm about to say is going to sound wrong at first. But by the end of this video, you're going to recognize yourself in every single word. We've been told our whole lives that caring is a virtue. Care about your work, care about other people, and on the surface, that's fine, but nobody ever drew the line. Nobody told you where caring becomes a cage. And there's a version of caring that quietly destroys you. The first version is intentional, directed, and controlled. The second version, it owns you, controls what you say, what you don't say, how you walk into a room, how you leave one. It controls your decisions before you've even made them. And most people are living inside the second version every single day. The quite brutal thing is, they don't even realize it. They think that they're passionate and they're driven, but what they actually are is dependent. Dependent on outcomes, on approval, and on how they think that they need things to go. And that dependence is the real problem, because the moment something owns your emotions, it owns you. Let's start where most people feel this the hardest. Relationships. Think about the last time you were around someone that their opinion mattered to you. Maybe it was someone you were attracted to, a friend group, a mentor, a parent, and notice what happened to your behavior. You became slightly more agreeable, didn't you? You laughed a little louder, you chose your words more carefully, you held back the things that you actually thought. You basically adjusted. And the funny thing is, you probably didn't even realize you were doing it. That's what needing to be liked does to you. It doesn't announce itself, it just quietly rewires how you show up. And here's the thing most people miss. The people's approval that you're chasing, they can feel it. Not consciously, but they can feel it. There's something about a person that needs approval that makes you trust them less, respect them less, because on some level, we all know the person that adjusts for the room doesn't really have a self. And a person without a self isn't someone that you follow. There's someone you manage. And the people who are actually magnetic are the ones that are respected. They're not trying to be liked. They're just being exactly who they are in every room, regardless of the response. And that consistency, that's what creates real trust, not the agreeable version of you, the actual version of you. Needing to be liked isn't humility. It's a lack of frame. And the moment that you lose your frame, you lose the interaction. Now let's talk about where it gets expensive. Business, deals, negotiations. Because this is where caring too much has a number attached to it. Think about the last time you went into a conversation that was something on the line. A deal, a salary negotiation, a pitch, and you needed it to go a certain way. You walked in already reactive, already adjusted for the outcome before a single word was even spoken. And the other person, whether they knew it consciously or not, they could sense it. Neediness has an energy. It changes how you speak, how you pause, how you say something to the other person. When you need the deal, you quite frankly move too fast. You over-explain, you try to justify, you concede before they even pushed back, because somewhere in your mind, you were managing the risk of losing something. You've already decided that you can't afford to lose, and that's exactly when you lose it. The most powerful negotiators in the world all share one trait: not being extremely smart nor aggressive, but they share the one trait that is detachment. They want the outcome, but they are not controlled by it. And that detachment And that willingness to walk away is the single and most powerful position you can hold in any negotiation. Because when you don't need it, they need you to need it. And that shift changes everything. You stop justifying and you stop needing, and you control the frame of the situation. Let's talk about status, because this is where it gets interesting. Most people think status is what you have, what you wear, and what you say. They think it's something that you project outward. But real status, the status that actually changes how people treat you, is about what you don't react to. Watch the highest status person in any room. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're not performing. They're not scanning for reactions. They're just there, settled, contained, and unaffected. And every single person around them adjusts, not because they demanded it, but because composure commands it. Now watch the lowest status person in the same room. They're the most reactive, the most eager to speak, the quickest to laugh at someone else's jokes, and they agree to almost anything and everything. They are constantly reading the room and trying to adjust to it. And that constant adjustment, that's what signals low status. Because high status isn't about dominating the room. It's about not being moved by one. And when you care too much about how you're perceived, that's when you start performing. And performance is the fastest way to lower your status. Because most of the time, the people that you are performing for, they can see it. And once they see it, they stop respecting it. The move is simple. Stop managing their perception of you and start controlling your own state. Because the person that controls their own state ends up being the person that controls the room. Now let's go internal, because everything that we talked about so far, it starts right here. The anxiety, the overthinking, the spiral that happens before the conversation even begins. That's caring too much, turned inward. And most people have no idea how much energy they're bleeding through it. Think about how much mental space that you've given to things that's never even happened. Conversations that you rehearsed that went differently. Situations that you played in your head that never even came. Scenarios where you imagine the worst possible outcome and then lived inside that outcome for hours. That's not preparation, that's attachment. You're attached to outcomes that you can't even control, to perceptions that you can't manage, and to results that haven't even happened. And your nervous system responds to that attachment like it's real. Your body is producing a stress response for a situation that only exists in your mind. That's what overthinking is. It's uncontrolled caring on a loop. The way out isn't to think less. The only way out is to care differently. Not about the outcome, not about how they think, not about whether it works, just about what you controlled in this moment. Your response, your posture, your space, that's it. Everything outside of that, let it move. Because the moment you stop trying to control what you can't control, your mind gets quiet. And the quiet mind makes better decisions than an anxious one every single time. Anxiety isn't a character trait. It's what happens when caring has no boundary. Build the boundary. So here's the truth underneath all of this. Caring isn't the enemy. Uncontrolled caring is. The goal is not to become cold or to stop wanting things. It's to want things without being owned by them. And that's the difference between someone who's driven and then someone who's desperate. Driven people pursue outcomes with full commitment and zero attachment. Desperate people pursue outcomes because they need to survive. One creates, the other one chases. And chasing in business and relationships and the way that you carry yourself, chasing is always low status. The calm frame individual doesn't chase. They move with intention, with composure, with the kind of certainty that doesn't need to announce itself. They don't over explain because they're not seeking approval. They don't react instantly because they're not controlled by the moment. They don't adjust to the room because their frame doesn't rely on the room's response. And that is what makes them impossible to ignore. Not because they're loud, because they're still. You've been told that passive means caring deeply, that success means wanting it badly enough, that love means needing someone. But what if the most powerful version of all those things looks nothing like desperation? What if it looks like composure? What if it looks like silence? What if it looks like a person who is completely committed and completely unbothered at the same time? That's the standard. Not louder, not harder, not more emotional, just controlled. Because in every room that you walk into, every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship, there are two kinds of people. The ones who are moved and then the ones who are doing the moving. The difference isn't talent, it isn't status, it isn't money. It's the one who stays in control. You don't lack discipline, you lack control. Start there.